You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Well, hello. Welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. Boy, have we had a morning, let me tell you. Oh, tech problems, don't you love it, on live radio? So great to be with you all, and thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your comments and everything. It's so great to be on another live show. These live shows definitely are challenging. We're going to talk about the Pleiades today and Uluru and Australia and all sorts of fabulous things with my guest, Christine Day. So I'm going to bring Christine on, and hopefully all goes well and we can hear her. Welcome. Welcome, Christine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Karen. It's wonderful to be on the show, and I just want to say hello to everyone out there that's watching.
I know, she was on her computer and the speakers weren't working, and we were like troubleshooting. We're going to go live in a couple of minutes. Anyway, here we are. We got her on her phone. We made it happen. But last week I had tech problems with the computer freezing. It's like, what else? Anyway, maybe it's the energies, Christine. I have been looking on social media at images and images and images and images of the aurora borealis, the lights.
Yes.
And have it. So Christine's in Uluru, or near Uluru at the moment, in the center of Australia. Have you been seeing any lights at night out there?
We actually haven't, unless I've been sleeping, but no, but the energies are very intense right now, very strong, powerful energies with all the sun's solar flares and the energy of the changes of the earth plane right now. So we're in for a bit of a ride, a good ride, intense. But I think this is part of our transformation right now. A very special time.
Things are intense, really intense. Yeah, absolutely. Because on social media, there's just so many images of the skies and the aurora and the incredible, and lots of comments about it. And Susan says, hello from Seattle. Hello. And remember, you're listening to Accentuate the Positive on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM, coming out of Seattle and streaming all across America and Canada. And also we're streaming on my Facebook page and Facebook groups and YouTube channels and the paranormal YouTube channel. We're everywhere. So it's great to see some people tuning in. Let me tell you a little bit about Christine. I actually met Christine through Jules Arnez, who had me on her Superhuman conference. And she was saying, she's an American. She was saying she had another Australian, Christine. She goes, you know Christine? And I go, I do know about Christine, but I had never, tuned into you. And then I started looking you up. It's like, who is Christine when she's at home, and I saw that you'd moved back to Australia, and I thought, this is interesting, because you've spent 30 years in the States, and I wondered why. So I thought I'd get you on the show to ask you. But let me tell you a little bit. Born and raised in Australia, Christine Day moved to the United States in 1992 and has just moved back, as we talked about, at the end of 2000, back to Australia at the end of 2022. In 1986, she was diagnosed with an advanced systemic lupus. She was told by her allopathic doctors that she only had a few months to live. After this, Christine experienced a profound spiritual awakening with her Pleiadian guides, moving her into remission, and she has been symptom-free ever since. In 1996, Christine had a direct encounter with a Pleiadian ship. Through this profound experience, her pre-agreements and mission for this lifetime were revealed. So I'm going to quiz you about that. She received an entire download of her unique Pleiadian aspect, which created a transmutation of her entire energetic system. This radically transformed her life, enabling her to transmit love frequency into humanity. And boy, do we need it, let me tell you. But lots of us doing it. can't have enough of it. Christine became internationally renowned as a Pleiadian ambassador for Earth and a spiritual teacher, a healer, and a channel. And you've got 3 books: The Pleiadian Initiation of Light, Pleiadian Principles for Living, and the Pleiadian Promise. Christine's been working directly with the Universal Galactic Community and councils, and has recently moved, as I said, back from Australia. So you had a receiving station in America. Is your new address back in Australia another receiving station? I suspect it would be.
Well, we're here to develop this next step, which will create a very powerful Stargate configuration. The land
Lovely.
here is already linked to our galactic receiving station in Grand Marais, and we're right up on
Right.
Lake Superior, with our own beach on the edge of the wilderness. That's where we were guided. We were there for 11 years to develop the galactic receiving station, a main branch of light for the planet. And so now that branch is linked here to this land, which we were guided to be on and to purchase. So we're here now, just about to set up the first anchorings for the Stargate configuration. So it's a very powerful and very exciting time.
Yeah, this is what I thought when I saw that you'd moved back, because when I first heard about you, which was probably years ago, I saw that you were well and truly entrenched in the United States, and I had the question, wonder why she moved over there. And then when Jules told me about you, you'd moved back, I'm like, wonder why she's moved back, because I know that you're just following the guidance, and I'm like, I want to know what the guides are saying about it. But before we go into that, I'd love to know, and hi from New Yorkshire in the UK. You're up late. Thanks for staying up late. Awake at 09. She hasn't got a name there. Let's hear about your story, because it sounds fascinating, with the illness diagnosis and then the guides kicking in and saying, no, you're not going anywhere. You're going to stay on Earth and, show us what's going on.
Everyone has to really understand that, I was not into healing or spirituality at all when I was diagnosed with this systemic lupus and given a short time to live. And it was, really what happened with what the day the doctors said that I would, didn't have much time left, that I realized that actually I wanted to die. I had an incredibly abusive background as a child with cult ritual abuse, and I really had been in a place of very deep despair and blackness from this, my power being totally taken away from me as a child in that experience. And so when I was told I was going to die, it was almost like I realized in that moment that I had created something to kill myself. And that was like an exciting thought, because in my powerlessness, I didn't realize I could create anything. And then the next intuitive thought was, well, if I could create something to kill myself, I could create my own healing. And it was just like something, a higher part of my own intelligence coming in and interacting in that moment. And the knowingness was that I still had all of the pain inside of me. And in order to live, I needed to leave hospital and leave the doctors behind. And so I left hospital that day, not knowing what to do. I thought, well, maybe I'll just sit and meditate, not knowing what meditation was. And I just sat. But looking back in retrospect, that was the moment where I started to take back my power. And I didn't know that at the time. It's still a very emotional memory, because I really didn't believe I was capable of doing anything. I was so lost, so desperate inside. And so a light went on at that time. So when I got home and I started to sit, it was just a few weeks later that this incredible light started pouring into me. And it was like this, that what I only knew it really to be like the love of God. I hadn't experienced love like that in my lifetime. And it didn't stop. It just stayed pouring into me whenever I was awake. And I was filled with this love. And I called it God. Look, I know now that that was the light, my own Pleiadian light coming into my body.
Absolutely.
But I didn't understand that, and I could never have dealt with that at that time, because I was totally not into any sort of spirituality, belief systems. I didn't believe in aliens or spaceships or anything. I was totally like a blank canvas. And so, you know, from that point, that light really rejuvenated me. I started to become joyful. I started to get information, understanding, clarity. My whole persona changed. You know, the desperation dissolved into joy. And so that's where I began. I was seeing myself coming from death into life. And so I committed in that moment to totally go with all the guidance that was being given to me, that I would not question it. I would just allow it to take me more and more from death into being fully alive. So that was my commitment. It was a total commitment. And in that total commitment, I was told a number of years later, probably around 6 years later, that I was to leave Australia, leave my children, and go to America. And I didn't know anyone in America. I didn't know where to go. And the guidance was, get your ticket to San Francisco. So I thought, okay, so I didn't know where to go from the airport. So I thought, okay, I'll just look up and see what seminars are on then and book into one. So I have somewhere to go from the airport. So that's how it began, my journey. And the person I booked in with said, well, I will meet you at the airport. You can stay your first night with me. And she said, well, I'm in Mount Shasta. And I thought that was a suburb of San Francisco. I had no idea. So when I arrived in San Francisco, she took me straight up to Mount Shasta. And I spent my first year in Mount Shasta going through enormous transformation and and growing and expanding more and more completely in this light that was coming in, which I called God.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. I've just reiterated your words. Cindy says, absolutely amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. But it's so interesting that you had the intelligence to listen, to know, like your story says, you said that you weren't into spirituality, anything, but you saw that if you could create your death, you could create something else. Like you saw your power in that moment. That's just
but
wonderful.
You know what was, Karen? It wasn't my persona, my human persona. It was in that moment, I believe, my own higher intelligence came in and gave me those few insights, which
absolutely
filled me with excitement, because I had no hope. I was in hopelessness and had been for years. I was living just like the Walking Dead, day to day.
Wow.
And so that intuitive moment of understanding that was what took me out of the hospital, got me home. I sat with that glimmer, like a flicker of light in the darkness, really.
Yeah.
And it was the first glimmer of light that I had in my life up to that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, as I said, you know, I knew that every move you make is a guided move. So when I saw that you moved to the States, I'm like, I wonder why the guides moved her over here. And then when I saw that you moved back down under, I'm like, wonder what they're now. What are they up to?
Well,
so
you know,
you said that you were guided to move to the US. The Indigenous say, the First Nation Australians, the original people say that this land, Australia, is a land where the teachers come to learn and then they take their knowledge out to the world. And I'm like, oh, interesting. But you went over to Shasta and learnt over there. So what was the guidance on you moving to the States?
Well, it was just to leave everything behind. And it was a very big giveaway for me on a personal level, leaving the children. and yet it was destiny. It was, you know, very much a predestined move to, that was where my awakening needed to happen, in Mount Shasta, and in a conscious way, because, and it was only a few years later that I had my direct experience with the Pleiadian ship. And but during that time, I was still just working with the light of God. I was putting my hands on people and light was pouring in. So I was working with people in Mount Shasta, with the light that was just pouring through me constantly with this love. And I was evolving and unfolding into my, you know, energy. And, you know, I was in total remission at that point. So it was, it was just it was destiny. I felt like I was home when I got to America. I felt like I belonged. I never saw myself moving back to Australia, right up to 2022, when I got the message I needed to come back here, that the galactic receiving station was complete after 11 years. And we had to leave that. We haven't sold the property. The property still carries, but we were no longer required there. And we were required in Alice Springs. So it was very interesting to, you know, leave everything behind once again and come back here. And yet I feel so at home here. I never thought I would feel like I belonged in Australia, because I never have. But I feel I found my place here, which is really good. It's helpful for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I resisted going out to the desert for so many years because I just, you know, I thought the heat, the flies, and I'm a water person. Like, I always live on the coast. But a couple of years ago, a girlfriend and I went out to Uluru, and it's funny that you say I feel so at home there. I felt so at home there also. We did go in winter when there was less flies and less heat, but I did feel so at home there, and it really shocked me that I felt like that. But you know, the Indigenous again are connected to the Pleiades, so there's that connection, right?
Well, Karen, it's the Pleiadians that brought the dreaming to the Aboriginals. And what happened was I was invited to talk at a conference at Uluru 3 years in a row, and I said no. And then the third time, I knew I had to come and do that.
Was that Mick and Catherine? Mick and Catherine, the Cosmic Consciousness.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So I said to Elisa, my partner, well, why don't we go into Alice Springs? We could have a week there. I've never been there. And you'll see the outback, and we can drive to Uluru. But when we got to Alice Springs, we both got off the plane and felt like we were coming home. It was the most profound experience.
Wow.
So we had an amazing awakened week here, where we felt like we belonged, went to Uluru to the conference and had extra days at Uluru. And there we were taken into a cave. And within the cave was the full memory of me being part of a Pleiadian team, the original Pleiadian team that came to Uluru to bring the Dreamtime energies, to transmit those energies to the Aboriginals. And that was like life-changing for both Elisa and I. And when we left there, it was like so hard to leave. It was like, you know, but we had to go back home to America, to our galactic receiving station. Then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And we were planning to come back within months, because I just didn't know how I could stay away. And we were locked out of Australia for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And so when that pandemic completed, the first thing we did was come back to Alice. And when we came here, we were told we were to move. That was in the May, and we were to be here by early December. And that's what we did. We just went home and packed and left.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I'd love to hear the story of you going up on the ship and having that experience on the ship. I mean, have you been up many times since? I've got so many questions.
Yes.
Did they take you in your physical? Did they take you in your astral? how did it all unfold?
Well, it started, I was out in nature walking, and I came into the open meadow, and I used to do this walk every day in this place. It called me, and so it was a daily ritual for me to walk there. And I turned the corner into this meadow, and there was this huge Pleiadian ship. And at that time, understand, I was, yes, working with what I would call the light of God, and that's what I was focusing on, because that's all I knew. I was still very new in some ways, but I did not believe in aliens or spaceships at that time. And it was like these Pleiadians were walking towards me. They were coming out of the ship, and I would have run actually, but they grabbed me telepathically and immediately reminded me. I suddenly became my Pleiadian energy, my Pleiadian consciousness. And I remembered my pre-agreements. I was as though I was looking at Christine, but I was in my full Pleiadian consciousness. My family, my Pleiadian family, were all around me. So it was an incredibly intense experience. Excuse me. So I don't even remember getting home that day. I found myself in bed with my Pleiadian light just pouring into me, and my Pleiadian family around the bed still. And I was in shock. I did not want to be Pleiadian. I did not want a Pleiadian agenda. I didn't want a Pleiadian family. I was in total resistance. And I was actually bedridden for 2 months while that Pleiadian light poured into me. And I was just in this real confused state, overwhelmed. And it was probably 6 weeks later, I was still in bed, that these angels descended around me, and they said, you know, the Pleiadians are part of the God consciousness state. And you have this mission to act as a bridge between humanity and the Pleiadians, to bring the teachings, the understanding to humanity at this time. And in that moment, it was like I could open up to playing my role, because I got the understanding of the God consciousness connection between the Pleiadians, that they were part of that God consciousness state, not separate. And so I was able to really kind of open up and come into a state of acceptance of that. And so it was a couple of weeks later I could get out of bed, but my whole Pleiadian higher consciousness had embodied right through my body. And so I came out of bed in a very different, carrying my full light. My whole body radiated differently. My awareness, my consciousness, my connection to everything was fully intact. I was fully aligned into knowing, into understanding. I had my Pleiadian tools active through me. So that was my real launch pad, you know, and I lost a lot of people who were working with me, and I gained a lot of people. A lot of people couldn't cope with the Pleiadians. It's
a common story. I've had so many people on the show that have, you know, come into their spiritual awakening or their spiritual mission or alignment, whatever you want to call it, and now they're like living life completely differently, and the people around them just don't get it. They just don't get it until they do. But let me ask you, what do the Pleiadians, how do they appear to you? Are they the humanoid-looking ones that everyone sort of depicts as Pleiadians?
There's the reptilians, who are highly evolved, incredible light, incredible consciousness. And then there's the humanoid. So both appear to me. I work, you know, with both that communion with them. They appear in physical form to me. They vibrate at a much higher rate. So, you know, they're kind of like a vibrating humanoid form, because they carry a much higher frequency of consciousness. But now these days, I work just with the Pleiadians for a while, and then I was launched into the galactic community.
Right.
Then Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, the Buddha energy, all the essence of the oneness energy that exists here within our universe, within the collective consciousness. So
stream of
it's
consciousness.
like that. I'm linked into all of those consciousness, and it's such a gift.
Yeah. Well, I had Kevin Briggs on the show last week, and he's connected to a galactic council of many different beings across the universe. And the Pleiadian appears to him as a short grey, and he's a scientist and drives the. So I think that human consciousness, we can get so stuck in boxes, and we think that the guides have said to me, the Pleiades is vast. It's like if you try to explain what a human looked like. There's so many different types of human. That's right. Even more variety, and there's a book called The Thayuba Prophecy, once called Abduction to the Ninth Planet, about these 9-foot hermaphroditic ETs that live in a 9th category planet. And I said, like, who are you? Who are you? Like, surely you've been talked about throughout history, because I've never heard of Thayubans before. And they said, well, in the past, you have called us Pleiadians. And I'm like, okay. So, exactly. So they come in all shapes and sizes, don't they? Yeah.
Well, and the ego mind just wants to attach. It wants to, be in control, to understand, to know. But, it's our hearts that can really receive the full awakening of our own selves and the connection with these beings of light. And part of my work is to help my students come into direct experience with the Pleiadians, to receive the understandings, the teachings, which is so important because we have so much illusion here on the planet. And the Pleiadians bring the clarity of enlightenment, of awakening, and they demystify enlightenment and make it very supportive for us to now step into our enlightenment process. And that's part of my work, is to bring those teachings, those understandings, the light initiations for the awakening of individuals who are ready,
Yes, darling one, I do know. I'd love to hear. Michelle says she's absolutely loving this conversation. Thank you, darling one. So am I. I'm loving it too. With Christine and Karen. So what have they been saying to you, as we talked about intense times, about the energies hitting the planet and what it means for humanity, what it means for the awakened ones, and what it means for the ones that are not awakened? What have they said to you about the now and the energies in Australia too?
They've been predicting that the drama is going to accelerate a lot.
Absolutely.
That those of us who are on the awakened path, we need to stabilize the heart connection. Even moments of being in the heart connection, that means just taking a moment to link into the heart. This is your doorway to your higher intelligence, your light. That helps to stabilize and support your integration as we go through these very rapid, accelerated changes on the earth plane. And really to just witness the drama, not to get engaged into it, to come into the heart space. And it's through the heart that we can each, make huge steps forward. And this is the time for that. This is our time for our awakening, for a mass transmutation of ourselves. So every time you go into your heart and hold your awareness there, even for one moment of time, every cell in your body transforms, and it's accumulative. So their guidance is stabilize within the heart, understand the third dimensional drama is going to accelerate as the earth goes through the shifts. But we are going through shifts as well. Huge transformation within the heart cells, within our brain synapses, within the electrical systems of our heart, of our brain, through the brain stem, the spinal fluid. All of our sacred systems are just pumping and accelerating. So we've got the earth changes going on. We've got the energy of the sun transforming. We've got the magnetic core of the earth pulsing out for the first time to align with the rest of the universe. For the very first time, we're vibrating, our frequency is aligned to the rest of the universal, this resident universe. So we're going through rapid change, and it's intense like a birth. It's a rebirth.
Boy, is it intense. At the end of last year, I had this beautiful woman from America on the show, Channels the Angels, and she talked about the flooding. She talked about the earth changes ramping up in 2024, and all over social media, I'm seeing people crying out for Brazil that's going through huge flooding.
Exactly.
And here in Australia and Dubai, the desert went through flooding.
Yes.
And my daughter's up near Mullumbimby, near Byron Bay. They've been flooded. I mean, I'm like, God, she wasn't wrong. Her name was Ann Tucker. Like, the flooding this year has been so intense. So it is intense. Sorry, go on.
It's going to accelerate further. Understand, it's part of the destiny, the timing of this change now. And so it is going to accelerate even further. Not only the weather changes, but there's going to be incredible accelerated drama, third dimensional drama right across the earth plane. And so, just expect that, but understand, but within the quiet and the stillness of your own heart, you are the very central point of the universal consciousness. This is where you truly, your authentic self exists. And it's through that alignment, that realignment to yourself, that all is in hand. And our sacred natures, if you're not aligned to that part of yourself at this time, is fully intact just beyond the veil.
Right.
And it's not, we don't have to learn anything. It's just in one moment we can remember and reconnect. The Pleiadians keep saying, it's like you're living a dream and you suddenly wake up and realize you were dreaming. You wake up and remember who you are. And in that, everything is within you. So that is what they're saying is going to happen to a lot of the population of Earth. Some will leave the planet. They'll take a step off the planet, and their next step will be off planet. And some of us will take our next step here on the planet, because there's no such thing as death. So there's a huge shift going to happen at a certain moment where there'll be a mass awakening. Those of us on the path are the way showers, are creating the environment for those that are ready to awaken. Some will leave the planet because it's their time to end this incarnation. They were here to a certain point and now they're going to leave the planet and move on.
Right.
It's just part of the sacredness that we've all said yes to being here. We've all playing a role. Some playing a role of misuse of power, some victims, some perpetrators. It's just a play out on a stage, and it's about us becoming the center role within our own lives, within our own hearts.
Yeah.
It's a glorious time.
It is a glorious time. Life will shake you to wake you.
Yes.
Yesterday, you said you lost a lot of friends when you started channeling love and light, the Pleiadian energy. I had a school friend that I was very close to that I stayed friends with for many years, thinking, that she's putting up with my woo-woo ways. But about, almost 10 years ago, she couldn't put up with it anymore. Quite a few just decided they didn't want to be around me, and it was sad. And she transitioned last night, and from her new address in spirit, or from her higher, whatever we call it, from the other room, she was in this regret that she was listening to the judgments of others and following that way. And she sent me this apology, and I went into is this just my ego wanting this apology? And so she showed me these, I have to share this on the show because it just was so recent. She showed me these yellow roses. And I'm like, what do yellow roses mean? And I looked it up on the internet, and it said it means friendship and forgiveness and apology and all this stuff, right? And I just burst into tears, and Christine, the overwhelming thing was, why do we have to die to get it? Like, we don't have to die to get it. We don't
Well, we're
have
not
to die.
supposed to in this lifetime. In this
Right.
lifetime, most of our missions here, those of us on the path especially, are supposed to, part of our mission is to awaken in this lifetime
Right.
and hold the vastness of our own light in our bodies. You see,
Right.
we have now a crystalline structure between the cells of our bodies to be able to fully embody our full light of our higher intelligence. That came in on 11/11/11, that the crystalline structure was birthed through us. And then on 12/12/12, it was switched on for those who are on the awakened path. And all the new babies are being born naturally with the crystalline structure switched on through their systems, so that we can carry the full essence of our light in these physical bodies and be on this earth plane in the awakened state. And that's part of our very important mission here that we've said yes to in this lifetime.
Yeah. What do you think it looks like to a human carrying that, like in their daily life? What would you say it looks like to be carrying that full quota of light?
Well, I myself are carrying that now. I, from a direct experience, I totally lost the physical sensation of my body. I'm very fluid in my body. It's like I have a fluid body that I'm working with. And it allows you actually to be much more focused in life, much more alive. You know things before they happen, but that's a natural state. So it allows you to have your human experience. I still have my humanity. I still have my ego mind, which is essential to organize things in my life, shopping lists, packing. I can't function without my humanity. The Pleiadians have taught me just how important it is to love my human part, to cherish that my idiosyncrasies and my, my human, I'm still have my human experience in moments. I don't have fear, but I still have a human part that needs love and compassion and understanding. And that human part of me is thriving where I have my light that brings the love to that human part. And so I'm still having my human experience. And that's a very important thing,
Yeah. That is a very important thing. It's something my guides tell me over and over again, because for many years, many spiritual teachers around me was like, I want to lay my ego at the foot of the guru. I want to get rid of my ego, get rid.
No.
And the guides have always said, love it. It's such a delicious part of being human. Love her. She criticizes, she worries, she judges, but love her. It's not you, but she's your character. You don't want to get rid of that character that you've invented. You've invented her. Like, I think that's such,
it's like a persona.
right, a persona.
And we need to balance here.
Yeah.
And in order to balance, you can't push your human part away. You have to evolve, and through the love, your human part can evolve and let go of a lot of the fear and the struggle and of being human. The human part has the capacity to come into learning and growth and healing through the love of yourself. So, and it's always been about us. The Pleiadians say, you are who you've been waiting for. It's always been you.
Yeah.
And it's about bringing the healing to the vulnerability of your own humanity.
Yes.
And that brings tremendous joy and fulfillment in your life. And so, I enjoy my human moments. I get to understand my humanity more and more. and understand why the vulnerability and how it arises. And if I've still got learning to do, I start to feel like responding to some other human being who's triggering me, and go, okay, so what's still inside of me that I need to let go of here? And to me, that's exciting. It's like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to learn one more thing about myself, about my humanity.
Yeah.
So I see, it's really a joyful experience being alive, having life's waves come in, some small, some big. There's still, things to deal with in life. It doesn't stop, but it changes. There's no fear involved anymore. There's just curiosity and understanding and growth, excitement to embrace whatever is in front of me. And so my whole life has transformed into a tremendous gratitude for all the opportunities of the understanding that I have now, to be able to navigate my life, to bring the teachings. I'm fulfilled on so many levels because of that.
Yeah, beautiful. Sally says, where can I find Christine? Sally, you can find Christine at christinedayonline.com, and she's on social media. I guess you're on all the social media platforms.
I guess I am. I don't do that thing, but Elisa does.
Elisa does that. Bless you, Elisa. Also, there's a link under this that says see more here. I've got all Christine's information on my webpage. You can click on the links there. But so moving back out to Uluru, I have to say, the woman behind the rental car counter at the airport was this amazing light worker from Melbourne. We had the most incredible conversations. I just mentioned something of appreciation, like, oh, you've been so helpful, thank you so much. And that just sparked this unbelievable conversation. So there's a lot of amazing people out there looking very normal, renting you cars and things like that. But there's probably a lot of people out there in the outback, like a lot of country Australia, that are very asleep. What have you found being back in Australia, carrying this Pleiadian light and speaking like this and being like this with the people?
Well, I always respect where people are in their own awakening and process. I think that's really important to really honor where everyone is, because everyone's exactly where they need to be.
Yeah.
So, within the community, there's certainly a lot of people that have been called to Alice that are here consciously. So there's some amazing people here who are really consciously doing their work here within the community. And then there are those that are, just a very third dimensional, living their third dimensional lives. But Alice offers something for everyone here. And also living with the Aboriginal communities, it's like they have an energetic hum that they put out through the community. It's a real gift to have them as part of the community. There's a lot of outer communities out of 300 kilometers around Alice Springs, and then there's a large Aboriginal population that live in the town. Yes, there's been some issues with some groups, but overall, the Aboriginals bring this amazing frequency, a vibrational hum. They're so connected into the earth beyond anything that we can imagine. They're connected into the dreaming energies. It's like a natural part, like they all have a root that goes down into the earth that connects them to the sacredness, and they carry that aura around them. Even if they're not awake, they still have what I call this collective hum that I can feel and experience being here. So I just feel really grateful for that element that's in the environment within the community here. So and of course, the energy around Alice Springs, we're living outside the town 15 minutes. We found this amazing property that's right opposite an Aboriginal dreaming site in the McDonald Ranges. This is where we were told we have to anchor this Stargate energy, which is being anchored by October. That's our goal. We've got
That's the
till
mission.
October to complete that. So that we're really busy clearing the land and working on that.
I bet you're busy.
Yeah,
And
so it's been really incredible.
Christine, have you met Stephen and Evan Strong?
I haven't.
Oh, I'll have to connect you guys. So I had Stephen Strong on the show. He was talking about, what was he talking about? Finding something out there in Uluru that was planted there from the Galactics years ago. Anyway. And he was talking about how we call the Indigenous Australians, First Nation Australians, the Aboriginals. And he was saying that the prefix ab means not, like abnormal, not normal. And when you put it in front of original, it means not original people. And it just blew my mind. And I went, whoa, he's so right, the Aboriginal. So ever since I met him, I've never called them Aboriginal ever again. I've always called them original. He calls them the original people or the First Nation people or something like that. She would love Star Magic with Jerry, Sally says. Yes, she probably would. But so I'll have to connect you with them. They're not Indigenous themselves. Stephen and Evan. Evan is his son, are both, white people, but very connected to that same, like you, being a white person, very connected to that same lineage.
Well, the thing is, you see, the Pleiadians have told me long ago that they brought the teachings to all Native people across the earth plane.
Right, okay.
All the sacred teachings were anchored they originated in the Pleiades and sent down by the Pleiadians. And you'll see how the Aboriginals here, the Indigenous people, have the seven sisters, the Pleiades, in all their paintings. And I mean, it's part of their sacred stories. The Pleiadians that brought the teachings down, they all look to the stars to align. And so, I just got back from Uluru 2 days ago, and I went back into the cave where I was originally brought. Elisa and I went back and did an even deeper connection, not only to because we were part of the original Pleiadian team that came to Australia on the earth at that time, so many eons ago. And so it was like this amazing reconnection to the frequency of the incredible dreaming energy that the Indigenous elders have and the Aboriginal people have here. They are beyond what we white people know as living. Their sight and their energy is linked into those very high multidimensional dreaming frequencies that they don't make sense to the white people, but it's so rich and so strong and goes beyond any material things that exist here on the earth plane. It's really profound.
I had a friend, she's still a friend, but I had her on the show quite a few years ago. She lived out, when she was much younger, she lived out in original communities, amongst them, very harsh environment. And she's like this freckly, blonde, white gal, and she's like out there with the Indigenous people. But she was saying that some of the experiences that she had with them is like, she wanted to talk to someone. They said, don't interrupt me, I'm having a chat with Grandpa. So they're talking to Grandpa in spirit. They talk about the dreaming as we talk about the afterlife or the astral realms. And many of them, not all of them, there's quite a few, probably most, that don't retain that memory. But it's very normal for them to chat with dead people or to get messages psychically and to be on the kind of telepathic internet and talk to each other. For them, as I say, not all of them, but for some of them, it's very normal. And I think that hopefully that's where we're headed as a human society, to regain that connection to our telepathic and psychic
that
abilities.
is part of our natural ability. I work with telepathic communion, and it's just returning to our natural gifts. Yeah, it's just a natural reconnection. That's part of my work, is to work in activating the telepathic center and supporting students in reconnecting to those areas of their natural ability. We need to all understand that we're multidimensional beings having a human experience right now, and the mission is to become multidimensional beings most of the time, being in that arena and realigning to our natural gifts, of that telepathy. And the Aboriginals, or I know you want to call them the originals or the indigenous people, they carry such an integrity. And even those, and we know that some are into alcohol and, addiction. They get addicted by the sugar and the alcohol that's here in our society, and it dulls their receptivity, but they still carry the hum. They still carry the potential for their reawakening. And then there are others that are very much still fully aligned into the dreaming. So it's very special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to remind people that you're listening to Accentuate the Positive Media Awakening Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM, streaming out of New Orleans. This is so cool, this radio network. I've not been on here for very long, just a few months, because I was doing the shows recorded so that when tech issues happened, there was like, I was relaxed and we could just like, no drama. We can, if it doesn't work today, we can do it tomorrow, but live radio, we can't do that. But it's wonderful that we've got this conversation going out to so many people, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. I mean, isn't it cool that we've got a radio network called that, and that so many people are tuning in? So it really shows the advancement and the evolution in consciousness on planet Earth, I feel.
And also, Karen, we've got tremendous support from the galactic community and the Galactic Council, which is overseeing the transition of Earth's consciousness. And so, I'm interacting with the full galactic community a lot of the time, and this anchoring of this Stargate on the Earth plane, on this land that will take place, is going to create another huge network branch to open up on the Earth plane. And this is timed where these Stargates, there's Stargates, of course, in Egypt, but they're not fully activated yet. But they're going to start opening up on another level. So we're going to have this huge transmission, this network created all around the Earth plane, which is going to allow a higher communication and communion to take place between us, those of us on the awakened path, human beings, and the galactic community. And that's part of a next stage of our awakening, us coming more into the galactic community as neighbors, rather than, because planet Earth is now vibrating with the rest of the universe for the very first time. So
interesting.
Planet Earth is coming back into this sacred radiance, which is going to create, and that people say, what's in it for the universe, for the galactic beings? Well, we are the last planet that has not been vibrating in alignment with the rest of the universe. So as we come into this radiance of alignment, which is going to accelerate by mid this year into mid next year, we're going to go through some rapid, even further rapid changes. Then our whole universe is going to be upgraded into what they call the God seat of power. It's like the God consciousness state. We will evolve as a universe. And that's what everyone's been waiting for us to come into alignment in a certain energetic for that to take place.
Yeah. Christine, what would you like to say to people who are tuning into this, both live and during the recording, who know that they're here on Earth to affect change, but they might not be quite as connected to their guidance as you and I? What would, but if they're tuning into this, they're tuning in for a reason. What would you like to say to them about the role they play in anchoring, these galactic gateways?
All right. First, I'd like to say that you said yes to being here on the planet at this time. And it was a great honor to be chosen to be here in a human body in this lifetime. That's number one. And the ego mind will say, I'm small and insignificant, but actually you are a unique divine frequency that is required here on earth and to make the difference. So every time you claim your sacredness, that means you move away from your ego mind, which is that misinterpretation of the ego mind of third dimension. You come down into your heart, which is connected to truth. Your heart is your guiding light, your only true reference point for alignment. Come in here for even one moment at a time and just take a conscious breath. It's what the Pleiadians call the conscious breath. It's the breath in the mouth and let it go out the mouth. It doesn't replace the normal breathing cycle, but it's the one conscious breath as you hold your awareness in your hand on your upper chest, which is your heart. You do that one moment, you start to claim ownership of your higher intelligence light, of your place here on this earth plane, of your unique light. And in that one moment, every cell in your body transforms. Not only that, your heart starts to become the natural transmitter that it is, transmitting your unique frequency of light out onto the planet. Every time you do that, just for one moment, you start to recreate the transmitting frequency of who you are as a higher light being. You start to activate your flow on the earth plane, your sacred flow. And every time you do that, it's accumulative. So if you were to do it once a day, for one moment, you start to build and start to align into the sacred flow for your own mission in this lifetime here. You're starting to do your work, play your part. You can't measure it. One is not more than another. This is my mission, what I'm doing, and your mission is just as essential, just as important to come into your heart for one moment and take a breath and let go. And claim your light, claim your sacred heritage, claim your place. I'm here. The conscious breath says, yes, I'm willing to let go. Yes, I'm willing to receive my light. And when you do that for one moment with the conscious breath, you start to activate the pathway of your own light here on this earth plane. And you make a difference. In that one moment, you make a difference to the entire energetic framework of the network on earth. And you can do that. You become a gift to humanity just by that action. And then you might choose one other moment during the day. And slowly you start to unfold into yourself, into your light. It's you. You're the only one. You are who you've been waiting for. That breath, that moment is you claiming your natural sacred heritage of who you are within your own heart. The words, I am. You claiming ownership of who you are in this moment. And that is enough. You are enough just as you are. There is nothing you have to change about your humanity to do this. Remember, you have your human persona that's perfectly imperfect. You know, that's just how it is. We're never going to get it right. We're never going to be perfect in our humanity. You don't have to wait for that in order to be enlightened. You just simply bypass your ego mind and come into your heart and take that breath. I am. And that sets everything in motion. It's so simple, but so pure, so beautiful, so exhilarating, so life affirming. And what it does is every cell in your body starts to rejuvenate. You see, we're supposed to rejuvenate at this time, rejuvenate the cells of our body. We start to go into a youthing process. We're supposed to live longer in this lifetime. You know, I'm turning 70 soon. And you know what?
Wow.
I'm going to start to rejuvenate. I've been told, the Pleiadians say I will live a long time. We're supposed to live a long time as we evolve in this lifetime. This is the time. And all this energy, this network of light, this star configuration we're bringing to the planet, our galactic receiving station, all the sacred sites, the crop circles are all forming this network of light for the rejuvenation of ourselves. And our hearts are part of that sacred network.
Yeah, the
It's so
electromagnetic.
exciting.
It is. The electromagnetic resonance of our heart is tapped into that grid. Absolutely. The guides have said to me, I said, you know, watching how people age on this planet is a hideous thing. It's just my generation. So many of my friends' parents are like sick and, you know, in nursing homes and dementia, and it's all so hideous. So I said to the guides, I'm not up for that. I'm not going to do that whole aging thing. I think I'll check out maybe when I'm in my 70s. And they laughed hysterically at me, Christine, and they said, We'll check back with you when you're in your 70s and see, you know, if you're still making that decision. And I said, you know, something I don't know, right? You know something about what's going on. And just what you said, like the whole crystalline structure of the planet is going to change the game on planet Earth for in many ways, but the whole body aging thing as well. It's completely for those that are tuned into it, not for everybody, but for those that are tuned into it. So yeah, you know, just amazing things are possible. Amazing things are possible when we tune into the frequencies.
Well, the thing is, miracles are natural happenings.
Right.
It's just that we have learned, you know, we've taken on the illusion of the third dimensional lack, being small, struggling, the fear. You know, it's magic. We are magic. We are multi-dimensional magical beings. And we're returning to that. We're going to awaken from the dream. Those that are still asleep will awaken. And it's just like all of a sudden it's remembering. You'll just remember, go, oh my gosh, here I am. Oh, I've just been in this dream, this illusion, having this experience, you know, but we're waking up. And every time you go into your heart to make those reconnections, you bring a nutritional love into the cells. So the cells start to vibrate at a different rate and they start to rejuvenate, organs rejuvenate. So you go through a multi-dimensional healing process.
Oh, I love that. I just want to reiterate, you bring a nutritional love into your cells. Oh, that's so good, Christine. I love it. A nutritional love into your cells and your organs regenerate, your cells rejuvenate. Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? I've been yakking to the guides about this for a long time now, the old aging thing and the rejuvenation of the cells. And there's so much in our health, you know, in our what we think about as health. We've got to eat this and do that and do this and do this. But actually, we just have to align frequency, align vibration. That's the end game. And
it's the high light, you know, the frequency of our own higher light intelligence can come in when we come in here to our heart space. And then it starts to feed us the nutritional love that we don't have on this earth plane. It doesn't exist here in that third dimensional illusion. Humanity's not capable of that pure love, but the higher intelligence of our light brings that in, fortifies with such beauty and such purity, you know, and it feeds the heart cells, and then the heart cells radiate it out to all the cells right through our body into the organs. That conscious breath taking the breath in the mouth, releasing the breath out the mouth. Yes, I'm willing to let go. Yes, I'm willing to receive my light. That's the nutritional love that comes in to fortify each one of us. And we all have that as part of our natural birthright, to have that access to consciously rebirth ourselves. We can only do this to ourselves. No one else can do it for us. And a lot of people are sitting back thinking, I want someone to do it for me, but it has to come from us, from us to us. Yeah.
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 Sally says she's so amazing. She's dripping with love. I love that, Sally. Dripping. She is dripping with love. I just want to say to people, I know a lot of people are listening to this on audio and radio, but Christine's standing in front of a beautiful Indigenous painting behind her. And if you know the Indigenous artwork of the original people, it's all dotted. It's all very dotted. And I never understood why it was. I appreciated it, but didn't. And then when I flew out of Uluru and flew over the landscape and looked down from the plane, I realized that what you're seeing from above, they're like the trees and it looks like little dots all over the land. And it just hit me like, oh my God, this is what the art is all about. It's like seeing the earth from above. And it just sort of hit me from a plane. So they're obviously seeing the earth like they're outside, because they were doing this dotted artwork before plane travel. So they're obviously seeing the earth from above, from their astral form or their higher perspective. And
they work from such a different consciousness that, for many of us, that's why they're so misunderstood, because the material things mean nothing to them. And it's just interesting to watch them. Like you're in the shopping center and they're all sitting on the ground in circles on the earth. And it's like a sacred prayer to me. And I can feel the hum get stronger and stronger when they're in their circles. And, I just can feel that gift of the hum coming right through the earth plane here. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. Mick and Catherine putting on another conference out at Uluru this year?
They are actually, yes.
Yeah. And are you speaking at it?
I am not. I'm got something else on, so I couldn't be part of that.
So I'm wondering, now that you're out there, are you going to gather people yourself out there? Are you going to sort of create gatherings?
Well, we'll see. My main focus is my guidance, and my main mission right now is to get the Stargate energy up and running on this land. And then it feels like I'm supposed to work with groups here, but I'm in no rush, and it will be at the right time. I don't create things in my mind and work things out. Things are set out for me and very guided, very specifically. So when the right time is there, I will open something up possibly.
So the first book that you wrote was the Pleiadian Promise, wasn't it? Was that the first book?
No, that was my third book. The first one was Pleiadian Initiations of Light. Mm-hmm. And that energy, it's so interesting because the books, you read a chapter and they're audio files, channeled audio files. You read the first chapter, then you do the audio file and have a direct experience. Because the Pleiadians are all about direct experience. So that was the first book that I wrote. And then there was the Pleiadian Principles for Living and the Pleiadian Promise. So, yeah.
So I think we've already discussed it, but I'm going to ask you, what is the Pleiadian Promise? What are they promising humanity?
Right. Their promise was to reveal our natural heritage. And part of that is that we are all originated off planet. None of us are originally from planet Earth. That we all have a family of origin off planet, a star family that is here now to support us in our awakening, our enlightenment process. And so that Pleiadian promise was to bring that understanding and knowledge out at that time, because humanity was ready to hear it. And then a lot of the audio files connected to the Pleiadian promise is designed to realign you to your family of origin off planet. I do a lot of work with people on that as well, reconnecting to the galactic community and working as as part of a galactic team, which is a very important part for some of us human beings here are supposed to be working actively now as part of galactic teams for the transmutation of Earth. So anyway, so that was the Pleiadian promise. That was part of the information they were told they were to bring to humanity then.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, and their promise is to support each one of us individually in the reconnection to our star family, because our own star element, like my Pleiadian self, is now fully embodied through me. We each have a star family and a star component that's part of our awakened self, our higher intelligence. That's where so to reconnect to that, it can be a very powerful and empowering thing for us to complete missions here that we have pre-agreed to do at this time on the Earth.
I'm so pleased that you said that, Christine. I've been saying that for years, that every human on Earth is connected to a galactic mob, a galactic team, or they've had lives in other dimensions, because Earth is such a hard school, if you like, that you need to have an experience in some sort of reality or physical reality that's easier before you even attempt to come under the river of illusion of Earth. So we've all had lives on other planets, if you like. And it's so interesting that the psyop here on Earth, the programming has been, the whole alien thing is evil and strange. And if you believe in them, there's been this sort of conditioning that has locked us out from even understanding who we all are as an extension of that.
I know. And people don't like to feel, we get attached to being human. And right. we're anything but, actually. And, I had the same thing when I heard I was Pleiadian. It was like, oh my goodness, this, and I couldn't ignore it because it was so strong, but it was a hard thing for me to navigate my way through. People are much more open to it these days. And there's a huge group of students of mine that work with the galactic community and have realigned to their star families and are actively engaged with their star families, and, which is what needs to happen. But it is interesting how we've been really turned away from any alien forces that, that word alien. Anyway, but, they, the majority, and at the moment, people are worried, there's these negative alien forces, but actually the Galactic Council is overseeing Earth, and there are no negative alien forces allowed on or near the Earth plane during this transitional phase at all. Yeah. So we are totally protected, and people are afraid, I've got this alien connection, but what if it's one of those bad ones that want to take me over? And, and so the Pleiadians, their role is to come in, not into our physical bodies. They don't have to even enter your physical body. They work through your energetic field. If you call them forward, if you give permission, they will assist you, but they never have to enter your physical body to do that. They just open the energetics to support you having your awakened experience. So, you can really let go and allow that support in if you, have any concerns about it. There's just a support and total respect for us as human beings having free will. That's a really important piece, I think.
Yeah, respect for us souls electing to play in the mud and the mire here on planet Earth, to go through all that we're going through. As you say, the energies are increasing, and the trauma is intensifying, and the drama is intensifying. And we said, yep, I'm up for that. Give me some of that.
It's a huge play out, actually, that we're doing here. And each one of us is playing. Some are, you've got all the wars going on and all the stuff going on. That those people have pre-agreed to be in that drama. We've pre-agreed to be where we are. It's the final play out of the drama of Earth. And so it's a huge crescendo, actually, that's happening. And, this is the last time Earth is going to be a third dimensional planet. It is actually going to transform into a fourth, fifth dimensional planet. And they say in this lifetime that will take place. We will be successful. And the Pleiadians say we're doing really, really well. We look at the drama and judge that, but it's just a drama. It's nothing to them. But our evolution, we're ahead, actually, in our evolution right now.
Well, interesting that you say that. That reiterates what Kevin said last week on the show. He said that there has been a new timeline that has been created that will ascend into higher dimensions, and just exactly what you said. But there are other timelines which are still playing out from an Earth perspective, or what do you say about that? Will there still be Earth experiences that still...
Well, understand there's alternate reality spaces that exist simultaneously here on the planet. They do exist. So that play out will play itself out on certain alternate reality spaces. And then there'll be other spaces where we will be in this awakened state. And gradually that density will dissolve out. And then more and more of those alternate reality spaces will all reflect the same experience. And that's designed to support different human beings and different levels of awakening experience. And that's a really important thing, that those who are honoring themselves, who are not awakening right now, get to play out fully what they need to do in the human experience, because this is really like the last level of human experience in this lifetime that we're going to be having. So it's really important to really understand your own day-to-day human experiences and to really cherish them in a way, to cherish them how they are now by understanding the dynamic, not being afraid. Because the fear is an old human ego mind response. It's the misinterpretation of the ego mind of what's actually taking place. And so if you can really get that the ego mind references from the past, it has no idea of the future. And the heart is your only true reference point to make decision, to have your decision-making process through your heart space, witness the mind in its struggle, in its limitation, hold compassion and love for that human ego mind, but simultaneously to the mind doing this, you can be here in the direct experience outside the drama.
Oh, I want to just reiterate something. So we've got about 10 minutes left. It's been such a joy and such a blessing to talk with you today, Christine. I knew it would be. It's been a long time coming because I've known about you for ages.
Yes.
But I just want to reiterate something that you said. The ego mind is always rooted in the past and it doesn't see the future. So what we do as humans is we go into the drama. Something's happening, some death, some disease, some accident, something's happening. And then we go into all the drama and we react to it based on our conditioning from past events, rather than saying, how is this evolving me? How is this benefiting me? What am I learning from this? Right? Like looking into a future event of how the experience in the now is helping you awaken, evolve, expand, learn. Yeah, that's what we do mostly as humans, is we stay rooted in past rather than seeing. So, I suppose you heard that in Sydney recently there was that stabbing in a shopping centre.
Yes.
Well, that was just up the road from me, and the people that were stabbed are people, 2 degrees of separation in Sydney, people that I know and their children and so on and so forth. And so at the moment, everyone is in the tragedy of it. But what more can come out of that? And I'm going to do a show about that with a friend and student of mine who's a psychic.
Understand that past experiences like that, those that even maybe were the ones that were stabbed, what it does is it brings up what's already inside them, locked inside.
Exactly.
That needs to be re-experienced for healing.
Exactly.
And when you're in that drama, if you use that conscious breath in the mouth and out the mouth, it actually allows the old experience to cycle completely out of the body and not come back in. But what the human being does is hold their breath, and it locks into the cellular tissue.
Mm-hmm.
So the trauma relocks inside. So to understand the fear, everyone who maybe felt fear after all that stabbing, that fear is fear that's already there, that's being unlocked by the experience to support that human person to let go of the old fear. And again, if you use the conscious breath, it naturally recycles the trauma out of the body for good.
Mm-hmm.
That breath says, yes, I'm willing to let go. Yes, I'm willing to receive my light. So you let go of the old density, and then your own higher light can come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You unlock something that's caught in your heart like a barrier because you got afraid. It leaves the heart, the barrier leaves, and the light can come in. This is our process, a conscious process of being alive, of being active in our own experience, not caught in our story of who we think we are in that persona, but to open up and really experience ourselves within our hearts, who we are in that, with that conscious breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that you're saying that. You've got a big fan. You've got a few fans online here with Sally. She's just loving this conversation. Hi, Sally. And I saw Gavin had a comment. Hi, Gavin, online before. Every trauma, every experience we go through is an opportunity to see what is active in our subconscious programming, right? Like I put out a book years ago called Awakened by Death, because the death experience, either your own NDE or the death of your loved one or your, I think that the tragedy is always when the children die or the daughters die. That seems to be, but it is an opportunity to awaken, and it brings up all the trauma that you've got stored there when death happens. All the trauma, there's the crying and the feeling of separation, the feeling of loss, which is the illusion. Because, like you and I, when you've got people that die, friends that die, like my friend that didn't speak to me for years, now that she's just transitioned, she's like my best friend again. So I've regained her friendship. I've lost her body, but I've regained her friendship. It's so funny. And so there's never any end to life, but there is an opportunity to heal when these traumas happen, to sort of look at our own traumas that we're storing inside us. And
dare to move into the feeling, not to push everything down. Dare to give yourself permission to feel. And when you use the conscious breath, it accelerates it, but it allows you to really, it's being alive. It's really being alive in that moment and not shoving something else down. So you feel like you're just almost like so busy pushing everything down, you can never feel the joy. If we close off from the pain, we close off from the joy. And that's where the depression comes in, where you can't feel the joy because you're so using so much energy just to suppress all the pain. It's about liberating yourself, self-resurrection. Like Jesus Christ said to me, when are you going to take yourself off the cross? You put yourself there. When are you going to take yourself down? You're the only one who can take yourself off the cross.
I love it. When are you going to take yourself
off? That was just a turning point in my life. We all have that moment to self-resurrect.
Yeah. I remember
You
the
know.
guide said to me once, my mob, I call them very irreverently the mob. They said to me once, "Oh, Karen, when are you going to stop suffering over your suffering?" And I thought that was really interesting. Suffering over my suffering. I'm suffering over my suffering.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit like take yourself off the cross. Daiwan, we've only got 6 minutes to go. Any important messages from you or the Pleiades or your spiritual mob, your spiritual guides for people still online for us?
Only that, to really cherish yourself and cherish your humanity. And it's really about making a choice to forgive yourself for your humanity from the past. You can actually let it go because it's brought you to this very moment in time, to all that you are. It's opened up a series of experiences for you to learn. And so that you're not responsible for any other individual, just yourself. Just really take the time to hold yourself with this love and compassion for the courage you've had to live your story, your life. And none of us have suffered more than the other. Suffering is suffering. That's part of the human process for growth. So, just letting go in this moment would be the greatest gift you could give yourself. And we do need to give ourselves gifts, daily gifts here. So remember, you are who you've been waiting for. And I really do wish to honor each one of you and all that you are in this moment, because I witness you and I see you. And my role is to hold this platform of love for humanity and the appreciation from the Pleiadians for you playing your human role and being here in these physical bodies that we're all in. So just blessings to each one of you. So be it.
Oh, Christine, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been so beautiful, so wonderful. This weekend I went to a little festival called Love Fest. I've got a friend who is putting on love festivals, bringing people, mostly people awakening into the conscious space together to experience love and connection outside of going to a pub and getting drunk, like having ecstatic dance and, meeting other people in the conscious space. He's doing such a great job at that. He's so committed to it. And there was a woman there selling these tiaras. This is actually a tiara made out of crystal. And I don't wear tiaras, but I bought it thinking I'll give it away as a present. And then I just thought I'd put it on this morning. I never wear jewelry, but I think it's your energy. It's like that beautiful tiara energy. Look at if you put it on the people.
It's beautiful. I love it, like Karen.
I'm still going to give it away, but I just felt like maybe I bought it because it was representing you and all that you bring to this world. Such a goddess, such a goddess. And remember to find Christine. You can find her at christinedayonline.com. My sister-in-law's maiden name was Day. I don't think I've actually ever met another Day before. You might be
Karen,
related.
It's just such a blessing to connect with you, and I want to honor the work you're doing. And it's been really a very beautiful moment being with you and every one of you out there. I can feel your energies, and you're very much in my heart. So thank you again, Karen. It's been very special.
Thank you again, Christine. It's been beautiful. We'll have you back. We'll have you back into the inner sanctum so you can meet some of the gang on Zoom. That would be lovely. The internet.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks again for tuning in to another show. You've been listening to Accentuate the Positive. My guest today has been Christine Day, out there in the outback near Alice Springs and Uluru, activating and anchoring galactic frequencies and energies. And this has been streaming on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM. And if you want to join our Inner Sanctum group, please go to my website, karenswain.com. There's all sorts of things that happen on the website. It's a huge website. It's an old website. There's just archives of shows and and courses and all sorts of things happening. And you put your email in, and we send out emails and have little gatherings on Zoom. I invite guests from the shows to come and meet you. But I've got to go now. Big love. We're running out of time. Bye for now. Thanks for listening. Oops, where are we? There we go.